Hey, beautiful people. Welcome to Training Thursday. If you are joining us, please let me know you're here. If you're watching this on the replay, feel free to comment or ask any questions, particularly if you're a naturopath, nutritionist, or herbalist. Come and join us over at the Naturpreneur Hub, and we can continue this conversation over there. Naturpreneur Hub is a Facebook group where we have these types of conversations for your business and yourself and your mindset all the time. It's nice to see you all. All right. So today I thought I would answer one of the biggest questions I get sent all the time. There's two questions that I get sent via email. Number one is, I really am excited about being in practice. I'm really excited about running my business, but then, and then there's like 2 paragraphs worth of stories. Hey, Christine. Hey, Sharon. Yeah, so I'm really excited about being in practice. I'm really excited about helping people, but, and then there's these big stories of, this has happened and this has happened and this has happened, and therefore I'm overwhelmed and I just can't get motivated. Who's ever felt that before? I absolutely have, and my experience the past couple of days has really brought that to the fore, and I thought it would be a conversation that we should consider. So one of the biggest things is about motivation. Now, if you guys are in the NatBiz scav hunt that's just become available, then you might understand that it's all good and well to have all of the information, right? And most of us as practitioners are learners. We love more knowledge. But it's another thing to actually get motivated to do the things that are actually in, say, for instance, the NatBiz scav hunt, or anything that we're kind of committed to. And we usually commit to it because it's part of our goal, part of our dream. My little story from the past couple of days, and if you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen it. I had so much resistance this week to doing what I needed to do to pass one of my theory exams. So 7 huge exams to become a helicopter pilot, a commercial helicopter pilot here in Australia. And then there's a 3-hour flying the helicopter exam as well. And there was one particular exam that's just, so much resistance to it. I didn't want to learn all the trigonometry again. I didn't like all the geometry and all of the maths and all of that stuff, because it's so far removed from what I'm actually doing. Like it just seems so far removed from what I'm doing, and it doesn't seem relevant. You know, when I'm flying a helicopter, I just don't think about that stuff. And for you guys that have just come out of study, you probably kind of get it, because we learn so much stuff that is absolutely irrelevant on the job. And the same thing happens in every industry. But I had so much resistance the other night that in that moment, I thought about all the things that were motivating me. And I found 5 things that whenever I'm going for my big dreams or goals have kicked me into getting the motivation that I need. And I wanted to share them with you. And so this is very useful information for if you, particularly as a practitioner, go, that business stuff, that is so far removed from me helping a person in front of me. I don't really want to know about all that tax stuff. I don't really want to know about all those numbers. I don't really, do I have to? Really? And all the resistance comes up. Like I said, I can feel it viscerally from the other day. And by the way, I passed my exam, and I absolutely am stoked that I had that internal motivation to get all of those past papers done, answer all those questions the way that I needed to, even though in the moment of it, all I wanted to do was numb out. I was like obsessively looking on Instagram, obsessively coming and checking all my Facebook groups, going like, hello, munchiedom. I was making amazing things in the Thermomix to eat. I was making like bliss balls up the wazoo, and then wouldn't eat them. I'd eat some other rubbish. So lots of things that we numb out with, and it might be the same with you. I had a whole bunch of people going, procrastinate, clean. I procrastinate, like all of the things to procrastinate, doing the thing that you know you need to do because you think you don't have the motivation to do it. So how do we find the motivation? And if if that is any of you guys, make sure you tell me what you do for your procrastinating. So I was procrastinagramming the other day, on Instagram, doing all of the things. And some of you guys, I know some of the clubsters love to bake. Some of them love to clean, like the house gets so clean when we actually have something that we need getting done. What else did we hear about? There was a whole bunch. So tell me what yours is as well. So once you get through that and you recognize, I need some motivation to actually go through this resistance or acknowledge the resistance and then go and do it anyway. One of the 5 of the things that have helped. Are you ready? Getting sidetracked, procrastinating. All right, so number 1. Now this is a clincher and it only just kind of kicked in for me on a new level, and it comes in on a new level every time I go up a level. Like every time that something new comes in, I get it in a way that I didn't get it before. So you might have heard this before and it's definitely out there. But every time you hear it, there might be something new in it for you. So it's having a big enough why. Now, Simon Sinek is like the dude when it comes to the why. And if you haven't watched his TED Talk or watched any of his YouTube videos at all, or read his book, It Starts With Why, then it's probably a time. This might be a little message for you to have a look at it. But having a big enough why is like the root of being able to be motivated. Because if you are really connected to your why, everything else totally becomes irrelevant. It just becomes so easy because you know that that's in alignment with where you want to be and why you want to be doing it. And one of the biggest things that I really got from moving from helping so many thousands of people in my naturopathic clinic to now helping thousands of practitioners is that my why became so much bigger. Like helping my local community right at the beginning was amazing, and it was a big enough why for me to get up and go to work all the time. But then towards the end of my time having a multimodality clinic, that why it wasn't big enough for me. So I wasn't as motivated, and other feelings started to come on in. Things like panic attacks before a huge big day, and things like procrastinating, or when you put out that little vibe of I just wish everyone had cancelled today, and then everybody does. If you've been in practice for a while, you've totally done that. I know you have. I've heard it way too many times for it not to be true. So when my why changed and I went, okay, if I help 7,000 practitioners help 7,000 people, then I have the potential to help 49 million people with their health. Even though it's a ripple effect and I don't directly help them, I have the opportunity to, and my why just got so big that I was like, okay, I've got to show up. I've got to keep showing up, and I've got to share however I possibly can, even if it sucks. And I've got to do all of the things that I possibly can so that this can be what I want it to be. So as soon as I got clear with my big why, it really changed the way that I did what it took to get the thing done. I paid what it cost to get the website up. It took my time to do the things. I learnt the skills that I needed to get it done. Now, back to the helicopter, my why has gotten so big for that, and I've gotten really clear about it over the past couple of weeks, being that I've spent time in New York and spent time in Bali at some conferences and some masterminds. Being able to go all the way around the world and be the first Australian woman to do that in a helicopter, awesome. That's excellent. And that motivates me anyway. But to be able to find different volunteer organizations to stop at along the way and bring other naturopaths, nutritionists, and herbalists along and be able to create a healthy community in those areas that I land in, I'm like, okay, I've got to do what it takes to get past this exam to then and get the micro wins to get to the macro win, right? And if my macro win, my why, is big enough, the micro wins seem like, fine, it's a little hurdle, I can do this. And I show up for it until studying till midnight the other night, doing the things that I did 10 years ago for my last degree. You do what it takes, even though it's uncomfortable, even though it's annoying, even though all the resistance comes up. When your why is that big, It's just easier to choose the things that you need to get the motivation internally that you need to. Lisa, you clean out the cupboards and rearrange furniture. Oh my goodness, I used to do that too. The rearranging of everything. Hence, look behind you people, totally different backdrop. I've turned my room around. Lisa, yep, you got the Y book. Unfortunately, one of my many, oh right, yeah. So Lisa's had a big mold contamination and knows a lot about mold illnesses. But yeah, the cool thing about having a library, and I've courted my library, like it's gone down to 1/4 of what it was, particularly because minimalism is a thing that I really want to embrace. And I love technology. I just download everything on Audible and I listen to them anyway. So hint, hint, nudge, nudge, Lise. Michelle, exhausted. Yeah, I've been there, totally been there. So your why. Number one for motivation, get a big enough why. Now, your big enough why, now I'm not talking global, not everybody thinks the way that I do. And I know that for me, that doesn't seem like a big thing to just, well, if I can do one skip to Queensland, then I can do 29 skips around the globe. It just doesn't seem, but I've had the feedback that apparently not everybody thinks like that. So your why could be big enough for you, could be that you want to create a family holiday every year for your family, and you want your business to be able to provide that. Maybe you want to contribute to your mortgage so that it's easier between you and your family or your partner to be able to pay that off, and you want to contribute in that way. Maybe your why is because of something that's happened to you earlier on in your life, and that you want to change that for your local community, for your family. You know, you don't want that for your kids, but your why has to be big enough that you feel it here. And then there's going to be a motivation to change it. If the interesting thing about not having a why that you really connect with, going, oh, because I just wanted to have another job that wasn't, I wanted to be my own boss. Can you see how it goes, oh yeah, I wanted to be my own boss. It doesn't hit you here. And if it doesn't hit you here, the energy that it takes to motivate you, because motivate is actually motion, motion comes from the word motion. So if you don't have emotion about that, then you're not going to motivate yourself through it. So where does your why hit you on an emotional level? And so the motion bit turns into motivate. Love words. All right, so, and when it doesn't, I'll take you down to the fifth one, which I'm going to now make number 2. Create a crisis. Now, I'm not saying manifest some random thing like your husband breaking his neck. That happened to me last month. All I'm saying is, how can you internally go, no, this is so important that I need to get it done? And creating a crisis for me is actually picking a date. So a lot of you want to go, oh yeah, I really want to create, I want to be motivated enough to create my e-course that I've got an idea on. Or I want to be motivated enough to do that workshop thing that I've seen somebody else do, and I could totally do that, but I'm just not motivated to do it. Creating a crisis, so creating a point where you either need the money, so you could, you know, you really need the money because you want to go away on holidays, or you need it for your washing machine or something. Have it in your mind that there is enough of a crisis point that you will actually take the action that you need to get motivated. One of the other ones that I love for our clubsters to do is actually pick a date. Right? It's critical. Crisis comes from the word critical. A critical date. Draw a line in the sand about when that workshop is going to get run, when that e-course is going to come out to the world. So by creating that critical point, you've then got to do what it takes. Again, micro wins to get to the macro win. You've got to do something along the way to actually get it done. And if you're something like me, somebody like me, you're, got to do a whole bunch of stuff here because you've created a critical point where you actually have to take action. So create crisis. Yes, Lisa put it in the beautiful terms of create a sense of urgency. That works really well for me. Yeah, especially when you're externally motivated. So there's another really good book called The Four Tendencies. It's by Gretchen Rubin. And she talks about how we are motivated either internally, externally, and some varieties of that. And if you're externally motivated, then creating something outside of you to actually do, so taking it away from just being an idea in your head, makes you much more motivated to get that thing done. That takes me to number 3. Number 3 is accountability. If you're externally motivated, it is essential, and I'm completely externally motivated. So we use another profiling tool called the Clifton Strengths Finder, and we use that for our Praccies that come on our retreats and our other bits and pieces that we've got going on. And they find it really empowering to know what their strengths, their talents, their underlying talents are. And some of so there's 34 of these, and the ones that are getting stuff done, you'll be surprised to know, are actually way up the end of my 34. I don't think they kick in until like number 26, anything to do with actually getting stuff done. So the times when I have been most productive in my business is when I've been externally accountable. And that means I've paid for accountability coaches. So people who just keep me accountable, not people that give me strategy or any of that kind of stuff, just to give me a phone call every week to actually check in whether I've done the thing that I said I would do by the time I said I would. So external accountability, saying it to somebody else and not just keeping it to yourself, keeps you externally accountable. When I first decided that I wanted to fly all the way around the world backwards in a helicopter, I had it in my mind for about, 3 weeks before I told anybody. Soon as I put it out online, that was it. I was then held accountable to doing it. Now I know a whole bunch of people are doing sober October or no drinking November. And essentially what they're doing is having an external accountability, putting it out there to the world that they're going to actually commit to doing something for X amount of time. So having an external accountability, whether it's through social media, whether it's through having an accountability partner, or whether it's through joining a group where you can be held accountable as a group of practitioners, and use the Naturepreneur Hub as something as well. I've started this thing, I'm going to get it done by Christmas. You know, there is a way to be able to utilize external motivation and accountability, because truthfully, when we're all by ourselves in our own little office space or our own little clinic, and we say, oh, I'm going to get that thing done, and then it comes to Friday again, and we go, where did that week go? It's Friday again, and I didn't get my to-do list done. Oh, well, I'll get it done next week. There's no one to actually hold you accountable when you're a solo practitioner. So finding an accountability buddy, finding an accountability group, or starting to commit to it through speaking it into the world is going to keep you accountable. Another really good book about that, for all my beautiful little learners out there, is The 4 Agreements. It was goodness me, it was a game changer of a book for me on my own integrity. So instead of having other people hold me accountable, what it looks and feels like for me to hold myself accountable, and how we would easily hold somebody else accountable if they asked us to, but for us to honor that in ourselves, it takes a real bit of a mindset shift. And so The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel, somebody or other, Rodriguez, is excellent for that if you wanted to check that out. Lisa, definitely externally motivated with a hint of rebellious tendencies to complicate things. I love it. Anita's got crunch day today. Last child graduated. Oh my goodness. And then you're becoming a serious businesswoman. Look at you becoming externally accountable there. Love it, Anita. Cool. All right. So we started with your big enough why. Then we went to creating a crisis. Then we went to accountability. The fourth thing to create motivation that I've experienced, that is one of the biggest things, is creating rewards and creating consequences. The Pomodoro method is one of the big ones that I use. So work for 20 minutes and then you got 5 minutes of doing whatever you like. Work for 20 minutes, get 5 minutes of doing whatever you like. So there's external apps that you can use for that. So the Pomodoro method is an app. Forest is another app. And essentially for the 20 minutes that you work, you're growing trees and you end up with a forest by the end of whatever project you're working on. So there's a reward of you growing a forest on this app. I know it's a bit random, but I love gamification. Turning things into a game is super fun and motivating for kids, so why wouldn't it be for adults? We don't have to turn that joy and fun thing off. So creating reward cycles, making sure that you celebrate the micro wins, not just the macro win. And a lot of us don't even celebrate the macro win. We just go, oh, that's done, next. And it doesn't create an opportunity for you to actually get that reward of showing up, get the reward that you want internally from that. Because believe it or not, we're actually trying to follow a feeling. We're not trying to get stuff, do stuff, be stuff. We're trying to feel a certain way when we get our particular goal. And so when we get to have that reward feeling, that big dopamine hit, that big, that's really what we're chasing. And so having a reward to do that is super cool. And I mean, it has been since we were kids. So creating a game and being able to do that is one of the biggest things. Or creating a consequence. If I don't do this, just like we do with kids, if I don't do this, I don't get such and such. So again, it's gamifying it for you. Nobody else is going to know, but if you want to create a little bit of fun and a little bit of competition in your own like little world about what's going to happen and get you motivated to do that stuff, that's going to be the thing. Lisa, I used to do that years ago. I'd forgotten about the Pomodoro method. Worked really well for me. Thanks for the reminder. Love the Sound of the Forest app as well. Yeah, go and check it out. It's really, really cool. Okay. Oh, all right. Last one. Last one for motivation is dun, dun, dun. And it's going to be a really cool one for girls. It's knowing your cycle. It's also a really good one for any practitioner. You know, we talk about cycles and rhythms all the time as practitioners. We talk about the circadian rhythm. We talk about menstrual cycles. We talk about ovulation cycles. We talk about fertility cycles. It's all sorts of cycles, right? We can often talk about things for other people, but for ourselves, whole different story. The thing is, when you know your personal energy cycle, when you know your personal motivation cycle, then you can, being a small business owner, you actually can choose your own hours. You don't have to work 9 to 5, X amount of days. You can actually go, oh, well, I'm way more motivated in the morning. And this was made acutely aware to me this past week. As soon as I get up and I have my morning rituals of having a cup of tea, doing my meditation, having a cup of tea, lighting the candles and the incense around the house, setting my intention for the day, going and having a bath or a shower, looking after my kids, doing all that stuff. Like after I've created that in the mornings, and it took a while to create that, by the way, it's not some, yay, it took a while to create that. But after I've done that, I'm so motivated. And I've been committing to doing some yoga every morning as well. And yesterday was the first day of this month that I didn't do it because I had my exam. But once I've done that, I've got the motivation. And motivation, and there's a whole bunch of research on this and another really good book about it, and I can't remember the name of it. But it's about you have X amount of bandwidth in the morning, like Wi-Fi. You got this much bandwidth. And slowly it gets eaten in as the day goes on. All right. And if you're a morning person like me, it's literally, and then you got about this much to get to the end of the day. So if I've got that much motivation in the morning, it makes sense that I'll be doing all the things that take up all of my intensive thinking time and all of my motivation to, like the things that are going to take more motivation, I need to get them done in the morning. Because by 2:30 in the afternoon, I am like, let's fade out and watch singing goats on YouTube. Like motivation for actually getting stuff done, it's not there. And interestingly enough, guess what? I'm here holding myself externally accountable by telling you guys that there's going to be a training Thursday at midday every Thursday here in the hub. And so externally accountability by serving you guys. But the thing is, it happens at midday before I get to that 2:30. So all of my good stuff, all of my good juice happens in the morning for me. But I have met plenty of people that all of their good juice happens, after dinner. And so they change the way that they work. I've met a lot of writers, people who are writing books, and authors who either are super motivated first thing in the morning, and that's when they get their, 1,000 words every morning, that kind of thing, or they're just after they've put the kids to bed and they go until 11 o'clock. But whatever your cycle is, start having an awareness of where your motivation is at its peak, and do the things that do take more energy, do take more time, do take more thinking power to get done that you don't particularly want to do. Get them done then, because it's absolutely useless doing it the rest of the time. Particularly if you're learning something new, you want to be in that zone. Hopefully that's been helpful. Hey, Stephen, nice to see you. Hey, Nick, you're best in the morning too. Yep, or stupidly late at night. And we're all practitioners, and I happen to, have written a book on adrenal fatigue. So if you are a night owl, just go and check your cortisol levels just to make sure that they're not out. Because we don't want to be forcing a whole bunch of people to go, yes, I'm motivated, and then we're staying up until 2 o'clock and your poor adrenal glands are going, no. Cool. Stephen, as much as I wish I was a morning person, I tend to be more motivated and creative at nighttime. Beautiful. Lisa owns she's a night owl, but she's trying to change that to the morning. Yeah, and we have a capacity to be able to train our bodies to be able to, change that rhythm. But notice where that rhythm is happening, and then commit or keep yourself accountable for those micro wins to get to that macro win. So the 5 hot tips that I have had experience with that have helped me the most to keep motivated to get my dreams and goals sorted. Number 1, have a big enough why. If you haven't done that yet, if you haven't checked in why you're actually a practitioner, why you decided to open your own business, start to really explore the emotion that you get when you consider your why. 2, create a crisis. If you need the urgency of a date, pick a date for the thing that you want to create. Maybe it's you want that finally sort that website out. Maybe you want to finally tell everybody in the world that you're a mentor. Finally get that workshop sorted and start helping people in a different way. Finally get, your ABN if you're just starting out. Pick it up, create a crisis. Because if you were going on holidays, if you would, that feeling when you're about to go on holidays and you just get so much done and then you leave and it's just so productive before that because there's a motivation because you don't want to get it done after that. So either pick a date or create a crisis where you go, yeah, I want $2,000 by the end of this particular time and I'm going to do what it takes to actually get that done. So yeah, create a crisis. Number 3, external accountability. Find an accountability buddy. Find the rest of the world to become accountable to. Send it out on social media what your big goal is. Share it with as many people as possible. 7 times more likely to get, 6 times more likely to get it if you share it verbally, 7 times more likely if you write it. Check out the 4 agreements if you're having a hard time being truthful with yourself about integrity, and check out the 4 tendencies to find out if you're intrinsically motivated or extrinsically motivated. Number 4, rewards. Gamify what you are getting out of showing up for your thing. Gamify it. It's just like giving yourself gold stars, just like we did when we were little or we do for our kids. Gold star for turning up consistently and persistently. Find a way. Grow a forest on an app. Have the Pomodoro method, or go and get the things that you really like that fill your cup up. And the number 5 is knowing your energy cycle or knowing your motivation cycle. Start to become aware of where you are absolutely at your ding on, and then change your schedule to match it. That's the other interesting thing. If you can change your schedule to match your motivation, it's so much easier to get things done. And it's one of the biggest things that we cover in our training is we're told that we have to work a certain way. We are societally ingrained that 9 to 5 is the way it works. You know, there are other shops that do it, but when you work for yourself, you literally can create whatever you want in the world, and that is mastering your schedule as well. So you can create what your days look like based on how much energy you have, where your creativity kicks in. I've seen Stephen up at night playing his guitar on Instagram. I love it, where that kicks in. You don't want to be going and seeing, you know, clients at that particular time. You want to show up as how awesome you want to feel first thing the following morning after you've had those amazing creative downloads. So make sure that you are following and honoring your own cycles as well. Cool. Just like everything, if this has been beneficial for you, or you think of somebody, another practitioner that this could be beneficial for, please, especially if they go, I'm just not motivated to do that thing, send them this vid. Share it. And if you don't want to miss anything, follow me on Facebook or subscribe on my YouTube channel, because this is where the recordings go. And I will catch you in the next one. But do take action. Where you think you are blocked, where you think you aren't motivated to do that thing, try one of these 5 things this week and see if that unblocks it and creates a path to what you are actually going to try and go for in those macro wins, because you're worth it. All right, have an amazing rest of the day, have an amazing rest of the week, and I will catch you guys for the next Training Thursday here in the Hub. See you later. Bye.